Down into him is the same. You want to lock the shoulder very tightly, make it impossible for his head to move. Now we'll demonstrate another escape technique from hold down. This one is rocker escape. And my student Ed will be holding my student Lowell in kata gatame, the hold down we just covered. And what Lowell is going to do is going to swing his legs up and try to be as much like a rocking chair as he can, rock back and forth until he can either do a back somersault or a sit-up position. Go. All right, very hard, very hard. Okay. Very hard, very hard. Okay. That time he did the reversal from a sit-up position. Now watch again as Lowell does the rocker escape up to a sit-up position. He's got to do it a few times to get Ed to go. Every time he does the rocker, he weakens Ed's balance just a little bit. All right, now this time, Lowell will do the rocker escape, and he'll work very hard on going for the back somersault method of the way out of this hold on. So he's going to throw his legs very aggressively up. And again, he has to get a rocking motion started. Excellent. Let's see that one once again. Notice every time he gets a little more momentum, a little more body space, that enables him to get a little further. Every time. Okay, very good, very good. All right, thank you. Those were the basic Osai Kumiwaza hold-down techniques required for green belt. The next technical requirement for green belt is shimiwaza, or choking technique. The first technique we will cover is ryote jime. We call this curl choke. You grab the lapels and curl in. What this does is it takes the knuckles. If you keep the wrist straight, your knuckles will apply direct pressure to the carotid arteries, cutting off the blood and oxygen supply to the brain. So again, right up on the shoulder blades, take a good tight grip, curl in, bring the forearms in. Don't leave them out here and try to curl with just your wrist. Keep your wrist straight, bring the forearms in. And this can be done either standing or in a mat work position. For example, if I was legs around bottom, head was here, I would pull his head down, then curl in with Ryote Jime. Extremely effective. Now, if I did this curl choke and at the same time straighten him out, look what I've got. Excellent turnover move. Another way to do Ryote Jime from legs around bottom, as long as we're there, is if Ed was trying to underhook my legs, into both legs, and pick me up to turn me over to get around my legs. All right, what I will do is I'll pull his head down, take my feet and scissors, and I will actually reinforce my hands with my knees. Okay? A direct scissors to the head or to the torso is illegal in sport judo. In other words, lay down here. I can't do this in competition judo. I can't apply this type of squeezing tension. That's called dojime, or leg scissors. This is illegal too. The only way it's legal with the head is if you have an arm in there too. Then it's legal. But if I have both hands here on each side of his neck, I can do this legally in competition and apply a very effective choke. The next green belt choke requirement is Nami Juji Jime, or normal cross choke. Lay down, please. For this technique, I'll straddle him. My hand comes across, grabs the gi with the thumb inside, fingers outside. And again, thumbs inside, fingers outside on the opposite side. Now what I'll do is I'll keep the hands tight against the neck, and now I push forward and I allow my elbows to come forward. Okay? I'm pulling in with the hands, pushing down with the elbows. And this applies, again, direct pressure to the carotid arteries. And it doesn't matter if you cross right over left or left over right. Okay? That's a personal preference depending on if you're right or left-handed. Okay? But the important thing to remember is don't have too much play on the gi. If you do this and there's too much play, the choke won't be effective. You'll be able to get a chin tuck and fight it. If you tight, you won't be able to get the chin tuck, and you can apply the choke. Okay, notice what I'm doing with my hands is I'm pulling him up into the choke. When I'm doing this and pulling in on both sides, the gi is lifting his neck right into the choke. Two very effective competition chokes. All right, now, we're going to cover a defense for some of the chokes that we've done. This defense is called the elbow clamp block. And what it involves is if somebody tries a choke, such as Nami Juji Jime or Ryote Jime, chokes from the front, or Tsukomi Jime, which was covered earlier, things of this nature. What you're going to do is overhook his arms and hug tightly to your own chest to try to crush the power of the choke. For example, if Ed was choking against me, okay, what I'm going to do is to overhook these, pull him in tight and down. All right, now he can't even get close to my carotid arteries. And I can continue to fight from here. Okay, once again. All right. From here you can see there's a lot of good self-defense techniques too. If I can get his head from here, there's a lot of things I can do. All right, now in Nami Juji Jime, the same thing applies. I see his arms coming across. I see the grips. Get in and hug tight. Oh. Get around his legs. Now, at this point, I've got his arms trapped. I can apply my own Nami Juji Jime. Kensetsu Waza, or joint locking technique, is one of the next technical requirements. Our first arm lock will be an arm bender, and this technique is called ude garami. To apply this technique, we bend the elbow so the arm is bent at 90 degrees, and we'll first do the up ude garami. The first lock is with the forearm up, pressing back towards the small of the back. Down ude garami is holding the elbow and bringing the wrist up to the back of the neck. So first the up ude garami, I grab the wrist with an inverted grip, or that is, excuse me, a normal grip. That is the thumb and the forefinger toward the elbow. The right hand is going to underhook, clasp my own wrist. All right, now from here I can't apply too much pressure. I can bring up the elbow and apply some pressure, but if I really want to make this Udigarami work, I'm going to cradle him back so I can drive the arm back towards the small of the back. For the down Udigarami, the same thing applies. I can't get through because the ground is in my way. So I have to pull him towards me and then drive the down Udigarami in an arc towards the back of his neck. So again, just sit up, please. Again, Udigarami involves using the arm, this part of the arm like an axle, and this part of the arm like a spoke of a wheel, and turning in this fashion for an up Udigarami, and in this fashion for a down Udigarami. Let's see that one more time. Up Udigarami, down Udigarami. All right, now if he tries to straighten his arm out, we're going to move on to the next stage of arm locks, and that is Udegatame, or arm straighteners. Now for this one, I'm going to come out beyond him, hold his arm straight. Again, applying pressure to lock out the elbow, going in the direction of the little finger. Another way to apply Udegatame, or arm straightener, is to brace his wrist against my shoulder and pull in against his elbow. Okay? And some of the other ways from a standing position, if he was to grip here, I could underhook here, pull up. Once again, underhooking to break the grip, hands together and pulling up. Okay, I can overhook and come down with it. And the final variation on arm straightener is to overhook, similar to what we just did. Grab your own forearm, prop against his wrist or his shoulder, and apply the lock. This one is extremely effective in mat work. Again, from a legs around bottom position, I'll try to pull him in and he'll go, no you don't, he'll post out. At that point, I get the arm, push against the shoulder, and I've got the lock. Okay, from here, take it over, keep total control of him. Now let's look at that once again. Come around his arm, trapping under that section of the elbow, again, where the tendons meet the elbow, between the tricep and the elbow. That's the section I'm going after. Grab into the crook of my own forearm, push hard down on the shoulder as I lift up with the forearm. This action applies the lock. The hand is trapped in the armpit. That's the lock. Again, this works excellent from a mat work position. From here, I stretch him out, keep it on as far as I want. Now you'll notice I'm actually using my abdomen to keep the straightener on. I just thrust forward with the hips to apply the lock. Those are the Kansetsu Waza, or joint locking technique for green belt. Okay, you're doing great. The next requirement is a Temi Waza, striking technique. The first technique we'll cover is the judo chop. To hold a knife hand, the fingers stay together, the thumb stays in, and the striking surface is this section of the hand. To do the chop, it's an inward motion, a snapping motion. Okay? It's important to keep the hand slightly curved so the fingers don't smash against each other. Let them curve in. All right, that's a chop. A slash is an outward motion. Okay? We'll see applications for these in a moment. The chop, the slash. Okay, the next technique is the hook punch. A hook punch is thrown by stepping out to your flank and turning your foot slightly. Just as you remember with Sasai, or a lot of the foot sweep techniques, we turn the foot towards the opponent and then turn our bodies. We did that to prevent the knee from locking out. Notice when we keep the foot forward and try to turn, you get about this far, and then the knee locks and you can't go any further. The hook punch is the same way. We have to turn the foot towards the opponent to apply the hooking action for the punch. If the foot stays straight out, we're twisting our body and contorting it and making it weak. So again, what we do is we step out to the flank, apply the punch. All right? And the final technique is a lift kick, and it's one of the simplest kicks to execute. You simply bring up the knee and then snap out the instep at the target. The target is usually the groin, although in a real fight situation, other targets may certainly present themselves. All right, now let's see some application for these striking techniques. The first technique we covered, judo chop, is mainly effective from the neck up. If you strike through the shoulders, you really have to have a hard strike to do damage. And the tough thing about strikes is you don't really know what kind of results you're going to have. You're going to have mixed results. On a bigger opponent, you might not even phase him, but on a smaller opponent, you might break a shoulder blade. All right, so strikes to the neck are very effective, along the carotid, all the way up. At the base of the jaw, behind the ear is very effective, and a chop right to the eyes is effective. The slashes are effective to the lips, to the base of the nose, to the eyes, again to the jaw, and the windpipe for a very serious situation, although again, the windpipe is probably the most lethal target you can hit. If you strike the windpipe and collapse it, he'll die in a matter of minutes. So it's a very serious target. All right, talking about the hook punch. The hook punch, when I step out to the flank, again, the jaw is an excellent target. It sends a shock to the nervous system because there's a ganglia, or gathering of nerves, behind the jaw. And when you hit it, it sends a shock. And that's why a punch to the jaw causes so many knockouts. So a hook to the jaw is extremely effective. Also, a hook to the body, the short ribs, is extremely effective. Okay? If I've already flanked my opponent, a hook to the solar plexus. All right? And you'll notice this time I had, from this stance, I turned my foot to get the rotation. I didn't have to re-step. I was already here. But my foot turned to get the hook. The hips turned into the punch. Okay, so again, the jaw, short ribs, and to the solar plexus. Now the lift kick, again, as I mentioned earlier, is a kick to the groin primarily. It's a very simple technique to accomplish, and it's a heck of a distraction for other techniques. He's worried about the kick to the groin, and I'll hit him with another strike. And those are the striking requirements for green belt level. The next techniques are turnover techniques into hold downs. These are competition-oriented skills, and they're required for more advanced level. When you throw a person, often they'll land on their knees in order to avoid a score, or they'll work their way out of being on their back and end up in a hands and knees position. All right, this is a very hard position for him to defend against, and we're going to take advantage of that. The first turnover we're going to do is a double bar turnover. The way we apply this is, first of all, we get him under control so he can't get up. Then we reach under and secure the arm. Again, not grabbing the gi, but grabbing his arm. Just taking like a big bear paw and just taking as much of the arm as you can. Now once we've got that, my chest is pushing down on his shoulder to prevent him from coming up. I can bring my chin in too to further secure. Now I reach under and across his neck, and I double up on this arm. Once I've gotten to that point, I'm going to pull his arm tightly up into my chest, and I'm going to drive forward on both feet with live toes. Now notice as I did this, I allowed him to slide through, so we ended up in chest-to-chest contact so I can make my own hold down. Okay, I'm going to take you through it again. Double bar. Again, secure him. The first grip is going to underhook his body. The second grip will underhook the head. In a real situation, this can all take place in a fraction of a second. Right there. Once I've secured the arm, I pull it into my chest and drive forward, sliding until I make chest-to-chest contact. Now the danger with not sliding through on this technique is that you'll overshoot the body and you'll end up with stomach-to-chest contact and you won't be able to hold him down. Here's an example of this. So far so good. I've got double bar. I'm pushing, but now I'm keeping the bodies locked together. And I end up in this position, stomach to chest. It's extremely weak, and he could get out of this if he wanted to without much problem at all. All right? So once again, to apply the technique, once we're here, we want to allow his body to slide. We're crunching him down to the ground, but we want to allow his body to slide through on our chest so we end up in chest-to-chest contact. And that's the first turnover. The next turnover we have to learn is quarter Nelson. Quarter Nelson is applied by putting your hand on the back crown of his head. So the crown going around here. Placing it right there, driving his head down, underhooking the arm. Right at the shoulder. Grabbing my own wrist and driving forward with that forearm to drive him over. Okay, once again. Bring his head right down to the ground. There's nothing in the rules that say you can't do that. Bring it down to the ground, post off of his head, and bring him over. Notice I've got his arm tied up pretty good right here. Okay? Now we're going to cover two versions of half Nelson turnover. The first is normal half Nelson, where you underhook his left arm with your left arm. Take the crown once again. Don't take the base of the neck. If you leave his head straight, he'll still be able to fight this. He'll have a lot of arm strength. Okay? If you take the crown of the head and bend his head in, it's much harder for him to take that arm back. All right? So once we've got that half Nelson, we drive it. All right? What can help that half Nelson is to take the far wrist and take a wrist drag. All right? All right? Or we can take one of the bar techniques we learned earlier. All right? Now we're going to take a crossing half Nelson with a wrist drag. And that's the right hand underhooking the left, and then a wrist drag. Once again. Get him worried about that hand. Double up on it. Don't let go with this hand until this hand's here. Then go for the wrist, pull in, driving across. Okay, the last Nelson turnover technique we'll cover is called belt Nelson. For this technique, I'll grab his belt with an overhand grip. You don't want to have your fingers in here because when you turn him over, your arm's going to get locked out. You can hurt your hand. So an overhand grip, forearm stays down on his spine, the point of the elbow pushing in on the base of his neck. Your right hand is going to pull up close to your body. Don't let it extend out far. Underhook and bring it close to your body. Now at this point, you clasp your wrist, and the key element is not to turn from here. This is very weak. You can only turn little guys from here. But if you want to turn the big guys, you have to have mobility. Get to the side and drive. Okay? Once again, to review. The belt, pull down, here, to the side, and down. All right, now let's see belt Nelson turn over a couple more times. Get him worried about his position. Underhook him. Again, mobility to the side, driving down, crushing down. Whenever you do these types of turnovers, you always want to crunch him directly down to the ground. This is a stable stance or a stable posture for him. And we want to get him out of that as much as possible. Get him onto his head. That's an unstable position. Drive him down onto his shoulder. Well, there we have it, the technical requirements for green belt. I congratulate you on your progress, and I look forward to seeing you on my next tape, which is the brown belt requirements for Sankyu, third class brown belt. Keep practicing hard, and we'll see you then.